Here's my agenda, and it's not very pretty because part of what we're going to talk about is how to play around with that. So just to tell you who I am, I'm Jennifer Sporer. I work in EdTech services in LITS. So I help faculty with technologies that they're using in their classrooms, but I also help people with all kinds of things, including helping people with things like Word. I did my dissertation, so I've been through what you guys are all going through in terms of using Word. And before that, I was a technical writer, so I was actually a power user before I came to graduate school, which I have to say was quite helpful. So one of the things that I'll talk about is where to go for help or to learn more about these things outside of this workshop. And one is you can always email me. Or email the help desk and tell them you want an educational technology consult with me. If you just tell them you need Word help, you might have to go through several things before you actually get me. So, but the other thing is, Bryn Mawr now has a site license to something called lynda.com. It's actually the industry standard, the industry leader in terms of tutorial videos and things like that. So basically it started out mostly for software, for hardcore software, and it's kind of been expanding slowly to include all kinds of things. And one of those things is Word 2013. Now granted it's for the newest version of Word, so it's going to look a little weird if you don't have that version, but the features are all pretty much the same. And the neat thing about these courses is they're usually video-based. They've got a transcript though, so if you don't like to, I sometimes just skim through because I read faster. But it's essentially a series of short tutorial videos. So you don't have to watch all of these, you can watch some of them. And pretty much for this particular one, creating long documents, it's got almost all of the things we're going to talk about. So if you forget anything that I've said, or if you want to, as soon as you get the new version of Word and you want to see how it works in Word, 2013, you'll have it here. Okay? And to get to lynda.com, I find the easiest way is to go to the Bryn Mawr homepage and search for lynda.com, and it'll send you to the page where the instructions are for how do you log on. The first time you log in, you've actually got to set up your account. But after that, it'll just send you straight to the login. You just type in your Bryn Mawr username and password, and you'll be in. Okay. And I think this works well on if you are into this sort of thing, mobile things. I know of people who watch them on the train or something. So I don't know. Okay, so for those of you who filled out the survey, thank you. That was helpful in sort of figuring out what you guys are interested in, what you're looking for. What are you guys all working on in Word, or what have you been working on? I'm sure dissertation is a big one, but other types of documents?
Just messing around with images or stuff, like charts and that sort of thing.
Tables, figures, yeah. Okay, cool. Do any of you guys work with data a lot? A little bit, yeah. One thing I will say is I personally have always found it much better to do the data stuff in Excel and then put it into Word. I've never quite gotten the, because it'll keep it linked, but then inevitably the files go in different places, and I don't know. So, okay, cool. So, this document, all a lot of text. One thing I'm going to show you guys is something called, I think I might do this in a different order than what we'll do. Word's outline mode. Okay? It's down here. I don't know if you can see, probably not, the web layout. By default, I think you're in the, what's it called, print layout, but there's actually an outline. It's the second from the right there. And if you'll notice, it's listing everything. So everything currently in my file is at the body text level. Okay, if you see up here. Word has something called styles. So currently normal style is my body text level, and there's a heading 1 and a heading 2 and a heading 3. Okay, so I'm going to make that text, it's the last one on the list, heading 1. Now watch what happens when I do outline. I probably should have done another one. It automatically, well, let me do another one. Let's go back here. I'll do one of the top ones. Let's do this one. Alright, so I made that top one heading 1. Now it automatically has that as heading 1, and it has everything under that as the body text that's under heading 1. Okay, let's say I made this a heading 2. So these plus and minuses actually, sorry, these guys? Haha, okay. These arrows up there where it says body text demote and promote. So body text is like the lowest, and then you have the next subheading, and then the next subheading, and then the next subheading. So I'm going to make this a heading 2. You can also do that with Alt Shift and the arrow left right. So I'm actually not even taking my fingers off the keyboard here. I'm going to make that so it goes up to level 1. Now I want it to be level 2. Okay, that's another level 2. Oops. So basically, one of the things I think is really cool about outlining, especially when you start getting into long documents, you can also expand and collapse these, is that it helps you see where the heck you are in your document more easily. And it all works on the power of styles, which is one of my tools for cleaning up documents. So here's a pretty typical document. Yeah. So here's a document with sample problems, right? And you'll go through, and it's kind of, you know, he's clearly got some subheadings here. But if I hover over them, everything is in the same style. It's all normal style. So if I went to the outline mode, oh, the nice thing too is that you can, in addition to using the little pluses and minuses to collapse, you can here say, okay, I want to see only level 1, or I want to see all the way down to my level 4 heads, right? If you don't have any heads, it gives you no information. So the cool thing about style in words, if you're using the built-in styles, and it's not just heading, it's also things like book title and some of these reference and things like that. You'll see there's a caption style and some other stuff, is it actually puts code information into this document that is tagged as a heading 1, a heading 2, a heading 3. So if you were to convert this to a PDF file, it puts that information into the PDF file, an invisible tag that says this is a heading 1. So if you were using something like a screen reader, the screen reader, like a text-to-speech, for example, the text-to-speech reader can kind of parse that document, right? It gives it some information about how it's set up. If you save this out as a web page, it would apply heading 1, heading 2, heading 3, right? So if you put that information in, then you can get that information out. So rather than this guy put in, I'm guessing he made these headings by, turning on caps lock and typing them all in. Well, let's say this is a really long document and he starts getting into multiple sort of subheadings, and he's like, oh, geez, man, I need to make all of my subheadings, lowercase. he's got to, this way he's got to go through and do it one at a time, right? If this was a heading, like let's go up here and make this heading 2, then all he would have to do is edit this heading. Okay, and you can change the font, you can change the style, you can change how things look. Similarly, so I'm going to show you, keep trying to decide whether it's better to have it zoomed out or in. This is a handy little button here. It's the show hide hidden formatting symbols. These are things, whoops, things that don't, there you go, things that don't print in your document, but that are part of the formatting. So what do you think these little guys are? Yes, so he's hit hard returns to make spaces between everything. Look how he did this one. He basically indents with the tab, right? And to give space. So instead of doing all that, he could make that a style, right? He could have like a question style and just apply that to every question. And then if he wanted to change them, he could change them all at once. So let's say we have a document like this and we want to clean it up. And we want to get rid of instances where there's like multiple tabs and paragraphs, right? We just want one. I'm going to actually delete this image because it's, actually no, I'll take that back. So let's say we want to, we don't want these multiple paragraphs. We want to do this in a little bit more sophisticated and easier to edit way. Here's my other little handy thing. So the paragraph button, the other thing that's nice about that little show hide thing is if you ever open a document and you can't figure out like why the text is floating over here or something like that, that's the first thing that I do and see how it's, what's in there. Is it a tab? Is it a, right? Is it a section break? Is it a page break? The other, one of the more handy things I've learned in Word is that Word's find replace feature is actually really, really robust. And so typically we only use it like that, right? But it actually has all of these other things. So when you're finding, you can find stuff, but you can have it match case. So let's say you want to find every instance. A good example is, say you had a document and you had written it all in, like with one title, the first word of the title capitalized and all the other words uncapitalized, and you wanted to change that to all of the words capitalized. You could type in your, I'm in southern France, so let's say that's what it looks like some places in your document, right? If you choose this, it's going to look for that case, okay, and it's going to replace it with exactly that case. So if you had instances where it said a time in southern France and you had capitalized southern, it won't find it. Okay. You can also use wildcards, question marks, and asterisks, I believe. Sounds like Word forms I've never really gotten too much into. I have done these ignore punctuation, ignore white space characters. But the really cool things are these. You can actually search for and replace paragraph marks. So let me go into the search thing. So let's say I've got a lot of instances where you've got all of these paragraph marks. So I happen to know that that's the thing for paragraph mark, but I'm going to go up here and say paragraph mark, and it's going to put another one in. Okay. So, what do you think that's going to do?
Every time you do a double paragraph, it's going to make it one.
Right, exactly. And I could do this one at a time if I wanted to double check that that's really what I wanted to do, or I can do all. So it tells me it's made 61. But you'll notice there's still some double paragraphs, right? Because we had some instances where there were more than 2 paragraphs. So I say, okay, replace all. Okay, replace all. Okay, replace all. Okay, and eventually it will find 0. Make it go faster. Oops, okay. Alright, I don't know what's going on there. But you can do the same thing with tabs. Here's one. So the old school way is that you put 2 spaces in front of a period. You don't do that anymore, but a lot of us have the habit of doing that. So period, 2 spaces, replace with period, 1 space, replace all. This can be a godsend if you're preparing something, a manuscript, and they have a very particular style thing that they want you to follow. This you can do global search and change for these kinds of things.
That just saved me about 2 hours.
Yes, I know. This is the power part. You can also, so special, as I said, there's a lot of specials that you can put in the find. You can also do very complicated things where you put the either clipboard contents or find what text into the replace, right? So you can do certain, you can get really complicated with this. You can also apply formatting to either the find or the replace or both. If you apply it to the find, it will look for that text formatted in the way you specify and only change that text if it's formatted in the way you specify. If you put it here, you can change the formatting. So for example, if you had a book that you referred to a lot and you want to make sure it was italicized everywhere, right? You could type in the title, and then in the replace with, you could type the same title but make sure the formatting is italics, and it would go in ahead and find everything. Okay, so this is very powerful. Yes?
I noticed that ellipses aren't on here. And oh, sorry. I see it now.
Yes. So you can do ... change to ellipses, or sometimes I've had manuscripts where they don't want the ellipses character, they want ... space, ... space, ... space, right? Similarly with the em dash, right? Sometimes they want 2 dashes, space, space, whatever. Some people have spaces outside of their dashes, some people don't, I mean, it's all very, I won't say arbitrary, but conventional. Okay, so you can see we got rid of a lot of the annoying things, the multiple page number, the multiple spaces and things like that. Now if I start adding my headings, we'll get a little bit more. Let's show level 2, 3. A little bit better. Another thing, and I don't know if this is visible or I just put it on mine, but there is actually a change case that will change from all caps to lowercase to sentence case to uppercase. and I can't remember the hotkey. There's a hotkey that you can actually cycle through. So if you're dealing with, I don't know, texts that for whatever reason have wonky capitalization. So just to give you a sense, let's say that I wanted to make all of the times that I had this tab A space, or let's say I have all the, well, here's another thing, just to kind of go over the formatting. Another thing that's handy is a lot of times people that you're dealing with want you to have certain things like single spacing, double spacing, right? If you apply that to the style, it will change everything in that style. So to make this double spaced, I can just change the normal, and everything that's considered normal will change, right? But my headings, unless they were based on normal, didn't change. You can, what I typically do in my documents is, let's just find a recent item. So a lot of times I'm writing things that are pretty condensed and need to be condensed. So instead of a typical manuscript style, you're indenting the first paragraph a little bit, right? And you're making it all double spaced. Non-manuscript style, you're typically making the paragraph single space or maybe slightly spaced, but then you put space after to kind of give space in your document, right? You can actually do that with headings. You can, this heading, you can see my head ones are set up so that there's 24 points of space, so it gives some break. So if you have a document like a dissertation that's got lots of subsections and things like that, and you want to really make that break significant, you can do that with the formatting. And then the nice thing is, if that's a heading 1 and then you decide, oh wow, no, it's not really that level of importance, right? It's actually below this. You can change the style, change the heading level, but the style will stay the same. And if you decide later on, oh no, wait, actually it was a heading 1, put it back, right? It's still in the style that you changed. Okay? All right. You guys know footnotes? Do footnotes, endnotes? Yeah. Highly recommend you learn the hotkey.
What was that again?
It was Control-Alt-F. At least on my computer. One of the problems is I've set up hotkeys for myself for things that I do occasionally, and so try that now and make sure that that's the same on yours. Okay, good. If ever you want to see the hotkeys, you can usually find it in the help file.
I have a question about the automatic setting on my computer is Cambria, whatever. It's very much just like that font. Is there a way to? I'm sure there is. Can you tell us how to adjust that to make sure that I can put footnotes at 10 point, whatever I want, and then have the main body at 12 point, whatever?
Yeah. So you can do a quick and dirty. Oops, sorry. Why is it? Okay. Oh, I think because I'm in compatibility mode. Yeah. So this was an earlier version of Word, so it wasn't letting me do this. But you can actually quickly change the fonts in Word under this page layout. It gives you some sort of themes, and themes are really if you're making a pretty document that's got like lots of pictures and color and things like that. Probably not what you guys are going to do, but there is a Times New Roman, Times New Roman. And basically what it does is in your styles, you'll notice it changed that to Times New Roman. So it has heading, it has a basic heading font and a basic body font that it's kind of go-to fonts for headings and bodies text. And that little page layout fonts is the quick way to change them. You can actually go through and make each style have something slightly different. So let's see, now that I added a footnote, I don't know if my footnote style is going to show up. Where was my footnote? Here we go. What's funny is my ability to type plummets whenever I'm in front of people. Okay. It's not showing up here. So there's this little button that shows you all of the styles. So you'll notice there's a style for the footer. There's some weird styles in here. Blue answers. Interesting. I am going to manage styles. Footnote text. Hide until used. Okay. Maybe this isn't in footnote text. So this tells me right here that it's font Times New Roman 10 point. Let's say I want to make sure that this is always based on the body or the normal, right? So one of the things that each style has is a style based on. So if you have your footnote text style based on your normal style, then if ever you change the body of your normal style, it will be the same font, right? It'll automatically change this one as well. So I think that's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And typically I'll make this like 10, and yeah, like the body normal will be 12, let's say. Here's another thing too. Whenever you make a change, down here at the very bottom, let's see if I can make it bigger. Nope, can't make it bigger. There's this, only in this document, new documents based on this template. If you save only in this document, the changes that you make to the style will only apply to this document. If you change the new documents based on this template, it will change the current template, which is probably the normal template, right? I mean, there's like one sort of standard normal template that you use, unless you make fancy ones and things like that. Oh, I knew what it was. I want this to show up in the quick style list. There we go. That's what this list is called up here. So now, footnote should be in there somewhere. Still don't think I'm seeing it. Style. It is applying footnote to it. There we go. Now it shows up. Another thing that's a little confusing, I find, with footnotes specifically, is that it's not clear how to edit them. Where do they go in now? References. Oops, no. Here we go. If you click this little button right there on the menu, that's where the footnote edit things are. So you can determine where you want your footnotes to be. Why you would change that, I don't know. But if you want a different number format, for example, or if you want to, let's say you're doing a multi-chapter document and you want to have each chapter a separate document because it's easier to edit, right? But you want your footnotes to be continuous. You could actually start them at a different number, things like that. Okay. So, images. We have this nice, well, not so nice image here. Do you guys feel comfortable inserting and deleting images? You kind of know that, right? There's a lot of, when you select an image, wow, okay, I'm sorry, this is not an image. It's equations. Let's add an image. Actually, let's go to this document, which does have images. So when you select an image, it's got some formatting options, borders, alignment, wrapping text. Wrapping text, yeah, it kind of works in Word. Word wasn't built for it, so I find it a little frustrating. You can actually, though, edit your, you can crop the picture, you can kind of resize it a little bit, and then if you do that, you can press compress pictures, and it will apply it only to this one or only to all of them. I would say if you want placeholder pictures for your readers who are going to be viewing this online or print, it's okay to do all of those things, all of the editing in Word. If you have pictures that are going to be used for very high-end printing, you want to actually edit your photos or your images in something like Photoshop or have someone edit them for you, right? Because the quality of what Word is going to do isn't going to be, it'll be visible when you do a high-end printing. So if you guys get to the point where you're doing a manuscript for a book, right, always keep really high-end versions of your images so that they can be printed for real, right? So, here's an image with a caption. To add that caption, I just went here and did insert caption. So why use the, I'll do one here. Why use the Microsoft Insert Caption? So it automatically says figure 1. It automatically applies whatever the caption style is in my document, and I can define that style and change that style. Your choices are figure, equation, table. So if this was an equation, I could put equation. If this was a figure, I could put figure. In this case, it is a figure. You can choose whether you want the caption above or below. This exclude label would be if I didn't want this figure information. So right now, it's just going to be figure 1, right? If I type period, Adobe Acrobat Ecosystem, now it's actually got the text, right? So the label is this, if I can edit my caption. I think to edit the caption, oops, no, cancel. Update field, edit field. So basically, what's nice about this is it gives you, you notice it did figure 1. If we go down here, these have been changed to figure 2 and 3, right? So it automatically keeps the numbering going. And just like with page numbers, you can have it start at whatever number you want. Let's say I wanted to delete this. If you noticed, there was this new label. So let's say I had, figure is a generic word. Let's say that I had some diagrams and I wanted to call them diagrams. I could say diagram, and that now becomes a label. So this is now diagram 1. I'm going to put it above. So I would do this if I didn't want the label. I could again change how the numbering is. You can include the chapters, so it's like chapter 1, number 1. So now if we go and look, it didn't, whoa, it did. What shouldn't have. Let me, let me refresh. Update field. Aha! Okay, so it didn't auto update, but the other nice thing about this is that you can automatically generate under, is it page layout? No. References now. Yes, aha. Insert table of figures. It will essentially draw on the figures that you've put in. Okay, well, it's not liking me. But it will automatically do that. So there's a table of contents. Okay, let's insert my table of contents here. Where is that? Maybe page layout. Insert.
Wasn't it just references and all the way on the left?
Oh, was it?
Table of contents?
Yes. Table of contents. So it will automatically put in a table of contents for you. And basically it takes your head 1s, head 2s, head 3s, head 4s, head 5s, and automatically inserts them as the thing. And you can control how far down it goes, or you can just delete the things you don't want. Right. So the table of figures works similarly, just not today. The other neat thing with both table of contents and, with captions and things like this, is under insert, these cross-references and bookmarks. So a cross-reference is when you want to refer to another part of the document. And they will automatically be put in as hyperlinks, which if you're sharing this with someone outside, that's kind of handy, right? Because it'll link them right to the document. But it will also put in human text. And you can reference a couple of types of things. You can reference a particular heading. That's the one I tend to use the most. Footnote, endnote. It's added my diagram. I should probably delete that. Maybe that will unconfuse it. So you can reference a particular table if you have multiple tables in your document, and so forth. So let's say I wanted to, and I do this a lot in documents. So let's see, I might have done it in this one. See Getting Acrobat Pro above, right? Right now, this is just text. But let's say I wanted to make that a actual cross-reference that someone could click on and they would go right to the spot. So I would, that was a heading. So I would go to my headings. Getting Acrobat Pro is there. I could, if I decided I didn't want it to hyperlink, I could change that. But let's say I want a hyperlink. This insert reference to, you can either say reference the heading text, so as I had it in the document, see Getting Pro above, right? Or I could say see page 5, or see page 3, or whatever it is, see page wherever this is. And then I can include above and below. So instead of the see Getting Acrobat below, let's see what happens if I do. So now see it put in see on page 1. And again, it's putting a field in there, and it has the up-to-date information in that field, but if you move that section around, it's going to keep updating the page number, right? And keep updating the text if you change the text of the heading, so that it's always going to the right place. And then if the reader is hovering over it, they can control-click, and they'll go straight to the section. Okay, so that can be kind of a handy thing. I don't know if your professors are savvy enough to know that it happens, but maybe amongst you can share documents this way. But I found it when I was doing my, even if it wasn't for the hyperlinks, just the above and below and keeping track of the page numbers was really nice, because then I didn't have to go back and put those in, right? So we talked about page numbers. Let's go back to our applying my heading styles with just my keyboard. Look at me go. So the Control Alt and the up arrows do heading styles, right? Change the heading style. Control Alt and the down arrows move text. They'll move one line at a time, or if you have something with stuff under it, they'll move the whole section. Also a handy thing. Alright, markup and review. This wasn't super important on your lists, but I think it's very useful. And it might be useful for you if you guys are doing like a reading group and you want to give each other feedback on documents. All of them are under this review tab. You can essentially add comments. So you can highlight a particular part of the document, click new comment, and you can say, really? Didn't work for me. So then if I sent this to someone, they could get the document and they would see that comment and they could go and fix it, right? You can also, if you click on this track changes, you can suggest edits. Oops, sorry. So now if I have, do I have it on? I can't tell. Okay, now I have it on. It's selected, it's colored. So now whenever I make a change, it actually marks that, but it doesn't actually apply it. So then when you send it to the next person, they can say, or when you send it back to the person you're commenting on, they can say, oh yeah, I like that change. And then they can right-click in it, and they'll get this accept, reject, delete, right? So I know some people who use this for grading. I don't tend to use the markup part for grading, but I do use comments a lot. So like I'll highlight, if I ask them to give me a Word doc, I'll highlight and say, I think this would be better moved here, or that kind of thing. Especially if I'm working on, when I was doing senior theses and stuff like that, I would help folks this way. Similar types of commenting are now available in Adobe Acrobat Reader and Pro. And Pro is on all the computers in the lab. So if you want to send someone a PDF, they can put markup on the PDF if they have Pro, or if you have Pro and you've made the PDF so that they can put, it's complicated, but I can show you how to do it. But that one kind of scary thing about this is that you could lose something, right? If you do it in a PDF, you can't lose your original text. They can just add the things. In Acrobat, and I think now in Word, if you have a device that is touchscreen, you can actually circle and write, like with a stylus or with your finger. I've tried it. I can do it for if I'm not very verbose. If I'm trying to write a lot, just type it in. It works better. But all right, other things that you've always wanted to do in Word but we're afraid to ask.
Is there a feature yet for that Word is not with that can assemble an index of every word that you use, then you go through and accept, reject, or is that still something that's
No, it actually does have indexing features. This isn't really a good document to test on. Well, let's see. Let's try it with this little document. So let's say I wanted to add an index at the end. Wait, no, it's under review. Don't know why they put them on, no, it's not review. References. Insert index. Gives you a lot of formatting. I haven't played around with this feature, so I don't know what it means, but let's just try it. Ah, no index entries found. So it looks like you have to go through first and mark, but you could always select every, no. I'm sure you could probably, oh, I see, here's the mark entry feature. Oh, that's cool. Let's see, mark entry. Main entry, C.
So it looks like you self-did it manually, basically.
Yeah, it does. Ah, well.
Could you do what you're suggesting and select all and see if you can make an index from that?
Yes, you know how I would do that? Let me undo what I just did.
Or could you do it through find and replace?
Yeah, here's what I was, okay, so I'm gonna just copy the text. Let's get a new document here. I can think of two ways to do it. One is there are text analysis tools that will basically give you a list of all of your words in your document. But the other thing I could think of is that you could do find change and change every space to a paragraph mark, and then you would have a list of words, and then you could sort it alphabetically.
Okay.
And then delete the A's and the ands and the D's. So let's do that. Space, replace with So I've got all my words here. And one thing I'm going to do is make this all normal so that I don't have any weird like things in front, right? And then there is, where is this? There is actually a sort feature. There we go. Sort. It will go by the first, so you can do paragraphs, usually. Okay, can't sort fields. There is a way to select all the fields and delete them, but
Unless I'm wrong, though, that wouldn't give you page numbers for everything.
it wouldn't get you page numbers. No, then you'd have to go through and do a find change to find where the page numbers are. But it could help you identify what the things that you want to mark are, and then there might be a way to use find
Yeah,
change to
okay.
mark them. Yeah. No, as far as I know, and even folks I know that do prepare books and manuscripts for publication, you essentially pay somebody. Other questions? Yeah.
Yeah, a number of us are classicists and knew a lot of languages. One
Aha.
problem that I'm beginning to have is it's very easy to hotkey Greek or, different character sets. Like, that's very simple and intuitive.
Uh-huh.
But when you're dealing with, you're writing a text in English and you're quoting languages that read right to left rather than left to right, funky things
Oh.
happen. And
Yes.
I can't find a good way to, streamline.
Yes.
Is there a way, or is that still a flaw of word of
I
mixing languages that go opposite?
Don't know, but I know who might know. My colleague Christine Boylan, she works with a lot of language faculty. She's a Russian scholar, so she's dealt with faculty who use languages that don't use Latin alphabet, but also that do back and forth and things like that. So she might know. I'll ask her. If you either email me your question or tell me what your name is.
Okay, yeah,
Okay, cool.
because it's mostly like Hebrew and Syriac and stuff like that.
Yeah.
When you try to insert it, then it gets crazy.
Yeah. The only thing I could think of, if it's like an indented quote, you could try a text box, and then you could apply it just to that text box.
So usually it's things like, you transliterate the word, but you want to have it in parentheses or something like that.
Right. Yeah. Well, one thing that you can do is you can actually select different parts of text and apply languages to them.
And even at the bottom where it says English,
Oh, yeah.
English
English.
US, you can do that.
Yeah. Mark selected text as French. Dear God. Wow. There's a lot more than there used to be. When I was doing this, I had just French and German, and only one French. Let's see, French, France. Aha. You can also tell it whether or not you want to check grammar. If you have it check grammar, let's do. What is it? Alt Shift?
Alt shift, yeah. It's like, all the Bryn Mawr computers have like 50 languages.
Oh,
And
right.
so, like,
The little thing down here.
Yeah, but on mine I have like 3 or whatever.
Right.
So usually it's like English 3.
Yeah, I have U.S. and U.S. International. This is one area in which the Mac is so much better than the PC. The hotkeys for Mac languages make so much more sense, and you don't have to have a special keyboard to do it. You just
I've had a different problem with the Greek with a Mac computer, where
Uh-huh.
sometimes I'll be typing and it'll it'll start doubling letters and it won't allow for corrections. So
That's weird.
it'll automatically go to the insert rather than the delete feature.
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't know what's going on with that. It's really frustrating. I have to save, close out, reopen, and then try again.
Huh.
Yeah. Do you have any insight on like what's going on?
No clue. I had a friend, she was doing a mail merge, and all of a sudden half of her, just the names, the name field, they showed up in Greek. And she didn't know Greek, and she didn't know what Greek looked like, and so she was like, oh my god, what is going on? And I went and I was like, oh, they're in Greek. Why are they in Greek? So no, I have no idea. It's something I think I would have to troubleshoot, basically. I know you guys got the bibliography thing last time. There are also Zotero plugins for Word. I haven't used them as much as I just use the copy to clipboard and then I paste, typically. But it can put in, just like EndNote does, it can put in field codes and then look those up in your Zotero thing and update it based on what the current state of your bibliographic citation is. Any other questions? One final plug for this, creating long documents. It also talks about, now when I was doing this last, it was a deadly feature and wouldn't be something I would recommend, but there is actually a way now to have a master document which has links to the sub-documents. So you can have, the master document is, say, your dissertation, and then each chapter is a sub-document. Supposedly the way that they do that now is much better than it has been in the past, and she covers that here. I can't say for certain because I've never tried it. I was doing my dissertation back in 2000 something, and it was definitely not there yet. So, but it's been 10 years. You know, it's probably fairly stable. And what it looks like is it inserts a link to the other document, which is much better than I think what it was trying to do before. A link seems like it would be pretty, you could always get that document. You know what I'm saying? Like you wouldn't lose anything. So that could be something useful. And then I think if you do that, you can apply formatting across all of the documents. You can do cross-references across all of the documents. You can do footnotes across all of the documents and those sorts of things. I found that, you know, when I initially set all of the things up in my Word document, it worked pretty well, but, you know, some of my chapters had like 33 revisions on them or something by the end, and by then it had really kind of, I think, blown Word's little mind. So some of these things, I would say maybe don't worry about the cross-referencing until you get towards the end, right? Things that you're not going to change. If you know your text is kind of in flux, don't put a lot of the linkages in until it's a little bit more stable, so that it doesn't have to work as hard to find stuff. Always back up. And save old versions, version 1, version 2. I said 33 versions. I had all 33, so if something happened, I could go back to 32, and then I could go back to 31, and then I could go back to 30, right? Save in multiple places. You probably know this. Dropbox is great. Dropbox did not exist. I remember emailing, no, too big to email. I was taking photos in the archives, and I would burn CDs and mail them home to my father and say, just hang on to this. This is a backup. In case I don't get back.